Eco-Red.
Radical Radio Collective.
4ZZZ.
Welcome to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio. Good afternoon, listeners. I'm sorry if you were enjoying that Chappelle Roan song, but I had to end it. I have an aversion to that song. I apologise. This is Eco Radio, Australia's longest running peace and environment radio show. We're taking over your middle of the day, middle of the week, start-ish, middle-ish of the month airwaves. My name is Dave. My pronouns are he, him, and I want to start off by acknowledging and paying my respects to the custodians on the country in which we broadcast. We're located in the city Meanjin, on Turrbal Yagara land. I also want to acknowledge and pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening in today. Our radio waves reach Kabi Kabi and Yinbara country in the north, Waka Waka country in the west. In the east, we pay our respects to the Quannamucka people, and down south we reach the Commonmary, Nigaragwal, Mununjali, Wanjerabara, Yugambeh and Bunjalung countries. Thank you to No Idea for all the great ideas. Just another great show, from eagle rays to fossil fuel fuckery. It was a very interesting show as always. I also want to promote yesterday's Rhinestone Cowgirl show. Salty, the Rhinestone Cowgirl, did a very important show talking about her lived experience with Parkinson's. As Saturday is the 11th is World Parkinson's Day, Salty was very open, brave, to tell the listeners about her experience. It was a very touching show, and I recommend you going back to listen to that. That was on yesterday. Today on Eco Radio, I'm going to play some old interviews I've done over the years. To begin with, I'll play you my first in the field report, in which I took a beginner's edible weeds class with David Diggles, who still runs classes now. This was 4 years ago. And in the second half of the show, I will play an interview with fungal ecologist Dr Sapphire McMullan-Fisher. Dr. McMullan-Fisher is a mycologist, and in the process of researching and writing a book about the world of native mycelia, and specifically the reciprocal nature that fungi has with native plants in our bushland, and using that to better inform bushcare practices. The book hasn't been published yet, but it is in the finishing stages. And you can go to Fungi4Land with the number 4 to find out more about that book and get involved. But to kick everything off, you're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio. Let's go into my story with David Diggles on a beginner's urban foraging class. This is Eco Radio. G'day, I'm David Whitfield. This week I've joined a beginner's walking guide to foraging for edible weeds, led by David Diggles. We walked around Boggle Road Jail and found plenty of edible weeds to eat. So do you also learn about native edibles as well?
Yeah, this is one of the native edibles. It's Lamandra. So the shoots, the end of the shoots, the white part is edible and it tastes like peas. And also it's got berries that are like seeds that you can grind up and make sort of a flour or a pesto or a soup thickener type thing.
Have you tried?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, pretty good. It's grown all across Brisbane. It's popular for landscapers because it doesn't need a lot of watering.
These weeds are mostly leafy greens that can substitute your salad for the day, but I need to stress to you that you should not be eating anything that you are not 100% sure of what it is. Even if you are sure, I don't advise eating anything on or around our suburbs that could have been sprayed with a herbicide. However, I had a really nice time walking around and learning about plants.
So that plantain, I've made a kimchi out of that as well. It ferments quite well, but don't expect the fibre to get reduced in any way. It's still very fibrous, and you'll be spitting out fibre, just like with celery. It's highly fibrous, but good for you.
So how long have you been doing these walks for?
About a year, and I started foraging a year and a half ago.
Walking around and picking up weeds might get you a few strange looks, but some edible weeds can actually be higher in nutritional value than some of those store-bought veggies. So Dave, do you have a favourite weed?
Yeah, my favourite is purslane. It's just a really nice succulent. Tastes okay raw. Doesn't have a strong flavour really, but it's a popular Mediterranean salad ingredient in the Mediterranean.
Oh, okay, that's where it's come from.
Yeah. It's actually all around the world.
Wait, so is it native as well?
It's native in Australia as well, in the outback. And it's very high in omega-3 fatty acids, which is a rare thing in plants.
Okay.
So it's a really good option for vegans, because normally you have to eat fish to get that type of nutrient. So here's the Biden's pilosa, which is edible. These leaves can just be eaten raw or cooked as a salad green, like a spinach.
So shorter
And
stem on the
so
flower.
the flowers actually look very similar to that poisonous one that we were looking at earlier. But that's the only thing really that looks the same. The rest of it is all like the leaves are very different. So it's just a matter of practicing with that one. And of course, the common name is farmer's friends or cobbler's pegs. So it's got those seeds that stick to your jeans and your socks.
But makes a good tea.
Yeah.
What percentage of your diet do you think the foraging takes up?
It's about 20% of my diet, so it's just a supplemental thing, like salad and soup green, but I'm buying stuff from the shop as well. I just don't buy as much of the greens anymore. I don't need to, because I can get fresh greens just out, a quick walk outside and get something.
Do you find that people are really surprised at what they can eat?
Yeah, definitely. I have been surprised in my the last couple of years as I've been learning about this sort of stuff. I did have an idea that there's a lot of stuff right under our nose that's edible, but just the extent of it has blown me away.
Like what?
Lots of common annoying weeds that people like to try and get rid of. Like, for example, the Biden's pilosa, which is the cobbler's peg, which has seeds that get all over your socks, is an edible, the leaf is an edible green, and it's actually quite good. And a lot of these plants are really nutritious. I just started doing the foraging workshops here because I saw that there was a demand for it, and it was a good way for me to start consolidating my own knowledge as well, and motivate me to make YouTube videos and things and cataloguing all of the stuff that I've learnt. I think it's a good thing on a whole to promote as well, for awareness and it leads people down the track of maybe thinking not to eradicate things, maybe not using poison as much and that sort of stuff as well.
Is that one of the biggest problems with foraging weeds? They could be poisoned?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely, if something looks unhealthy, if it looks a bit sort of dying off, I wouldn't eat it. I would only eat something that looks like it's really thriving and green and lush. Then I know that it hasn't been poisoned, but there still could be some residual poison around in the soil. But my hope is that the study that I read from San Francisco is on the money, in that the weeds they tested didn't have much of an uptake. They didn't find any detectable amounts of pesticide poisons in the weeds that they tested, and or heavy metals and things. So yeah, and I felt my health getting better, like more energy and just feeling quite healthy over the last year of eating foraged stuff. So I hope I'm not building up any pesticides in my system.
That was my interview with David Diggles of the Brisbane weed foraging community. If you want to eat things off the roadside, please make sure you know what it is and that it is clean. I'm David Whitfield, and you're listening to 4ZZZ. That was my In the Field report, one of my first In the Field report, maybe even my first from 2022, talking to David Diggles. And I do have a story. I used to eat these raspberries that were on my way to university, and I used to just pick them off as I was walking past. And then one day, as I was walking past, I saw that someone was spraying herbicide on them, and I was like, oh, have I been eating that after someone has sprayed? So, yeah, just be careful about what you're eating out there, or better yet, weeds are very easy to grow in your home. Most people try and get rid of them, so, yeah. Maybe use that instead. Marky texted in wanting to hear a song called Trees from Shifting Sands, so we'll play that because he's actually weeding at the moment, not for food, but for bushcare, country care reasons. And, yeah, he's taken out some glycine, which is a really prolific weed here in southeast Queensland. So here is Trees by Shifting Sands. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio.
4ZZZ's Radio Reversal has gone digital. Since 2012, the collective have been building a record of radio theorising, organising, mistake-making, rethinking and community building that happens across this city. So, if 1 hour a week isn't enough for you, head to radioreversal.substack.com to learn more about the Radio Reversal podcast, or listen to the full episodes via your favourite podcasting app.
That was Shifting Sands with Trees, which was a request by Marky. Marky is a long-time texter-innerer here on Eco Radio, and I know that it's Marky because he's a subscriber. He's a subscriber to 4ZZZ, which is our main source of income to keep this station on the go. Right now, we are running the April Atonement subscriber drive, and it's where we are most forgiving to everyone who isn't a subscriber or maybe a lapsed subscriber to this station. So if you would like to subscribe, you will become one of only 2% of listeners to the station that are financially involved. For as little as $25, actually, you can become a subscriber. and help keep the airwaves flowing throughout your ear holes. So go to 4zzz.org.au/support and become part of the family, because that's what we are here at 4ZZZ. We're by the community, for the community, and we like to keep things community-minded. I really enjoy talking to people on our text line, people that want to tell me about, what weeds they've come across today, or what plants they're excited about growing. And I really enjoy this parasocial relationship that we have. Go to 4zzz.org.au/support, become a subscriber, become a regular texter-innerer, and we can enjoy each other's company while I play some music. But right now I'm going to play an interview I did in 2022. I did an interview with Dr. Sapphire McMullan-Fisher. She's a fungal ecologist that is in the process of researching and writing a book exposing the elusive world of native mycelium, specifically the reciprocal nature that fungi has with native plants in our bushland, and using that fungal symbiosis to better inform bushcare practices. Dr. Sapphire McMullan-Fisher and Roz Hart are in the finishing process of putting their book out for publication, but they still need your help. So head to Fungi4Land, that's 4 with the number 4, to find out more and find out how you can help. But let's go into the interview. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio.
Yeah, my name's Sapphire, and I call myself a fungal ecologist because I'm interested in how things are connected in natural systems, which is the ecology part. And I call myself a fungal ecologist because I know a lot about fungi, and fungi are fabulous because they connect everything, but a lot of people don't realise that because we can't see them do it.
I find this subject supremely interesting, but I've got to admit I'm pretty ignorant of fungi, even though I've been doing bush regen for a few years. Why do you think fungi has been so overlooked in the regeneration world?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people think that the mushrooms we see, that pop up when it's wet, are the whole fungus. And because they're sort of ephemeral, people don't think about them. But what they don't realise is that's just the apple or the fruit of the fungus. So the body of the fungus is either in the soil or in logs or in leaves that have fallen off a tree or in the living leaves of a tree. So the body of the fungus is collectively is called mycelium, but we can't see that because it's inside of these things. So we only ever know to even think about looking for it when we see a mushroom or a cultural fungus or a puffball. And most people, unfortunately, when I first started studying fungi in the biology world, people would go, well, what's it called? And they would focus on the name. And the name's fabulous, but I'm an ecologist, so I'd be like, well, it's great to know what it's called, but what does it do? And I think that's one of the problems, is maybe because the surviving mycologists, the people who study fungi, were taxonomists, so whose job it was to give it a name. They were so focused on the name that they forgot to tell people these are actually doing something. So they didn't end up, in the restoration world. They, ended up in herbaria, which are fabulous and really important places for science. But it doesn't help you on the ground putting native species back into the ground. And hopefully, as awareness is opening up, we'll start putting back fungi with their plant partners.
Yeah, I suppose.
Seed bank, but spore bank.
I suppose taxonomy is the first step. Could you elaborate on the relationship with plants and fungi?
Yeah, so I think we need to do all of the steps simultaneously, which means we will have to accept that it won't be perfect. But it's better than waiting, because if we wait for perfect, we'll never get started. So plants and fungi have evolved together. So most plants that live on land, so terrestrial plants, partner with fungi, and they partner with fungi in a number of places. So one of the places that they partner with them is their roots. So we call these mycorrhiza, which simply means myco, fungus, rhiza meaning root. And this is where that interaction happens. The root of the plant and the fungi connect on the root, and fungi threads are very fine compared to plant roots, which are actually quite fat at the scale of soil. So fungi are actually better at finding water, and fungi have great enzymes, so they're better able to get phosphorus out of the soil, nitrogen out of the soil, and lots of other micromolecules. They're good at getting them out of the soil. So they share them with their plant partners. And plants are great. We know they do photosynthesis. They capture the carbon dioxide from the air, use the sun's energy, and that's how they grow. So they've got all this extra sugar that they then share with their fungal partners. And mycorrhizae, the fungal root relationship, is not like monogamy. It's not, one plant, one fungus. A healthy plant can have tens to dozens of fungi on its roots, and different fungi, one's better at getting phosphorus, another one's getting at nitrogen, one's really good in dry years, another one's good in wet years. And what the plant does is it basically trickle feeds all of its fungi on its roots a little bit of sugar, and whichever partners are helping more at the time actively, they get a little bit more sugar. And so they have a whole community, a whole mycelium, that are keeping that plant happy and healthy. And the mind-blowing thing that's happened in the last couple of decades is we know that the fungi actually share sugars between plants. And we know that from the Northern Hemisphere, but in Australia yet we don't know how this kind of sugar sharing facilitated by fungi happens. But it's probably one of the reasons why, you can kind of have systems that seem a bit sick, and then suddenly they all seem to fail at once when there's a big drought or something. And it's probably because fungi have been helping propping up different less healthy plants, but once the plants say, no, we're not sharing sugars with our fungi partners anymore, the whole game stops, and that's the scary bit.
Yeah, it is, because areas will have dieback, and most of the time we have no idea why it's happened.
Yeah, and it sometimes takes dieback and, areas that are really unhealthy. That happens in, 5 or 10 years, which is super fast biologically, but is actually kind of slow to humans. So they kind of go, and we don't do anything until we really know we have to. So we kind of go, this system's not great, but we kind of don't do anything. And by the time we know that it's failing, finding the signs of why it failed is even harder. So that's why I'm really keen on people. The first thing to do is learn what harm you might be doing to your fungi unknowingly. So a lot of people, particularly in fire-prone areas, have gotten really good at clearing up the leaf litter and the twigs and the logs and the debris, which is great for fire protection around their house and anything that they want to protect. But if they take that behaviour into the rest of the landscape, they're actually stealing nutrition. So all of that dead material is actually the nutrients for the next generation. And if you take it away, you're actually taking, the food for the fungi and the invertebrates that their job is to recycle. And recycling is actually an active living process. And it's like taking away the what will become nature's compost. And if you take it away from everywhere, you then have these really sick, nutrient-deprived systems.
Yeah, I didn't know this about mulch. Mulch can be very helpful, but there are also downsides.
Yeah, so mulch is not evil, like it's not terrible, but it can cause problems because, bare soil is terrible. Bare soil without any organic matter is just terrible. There can almost be no life. And if you try and shove plants in these really extreme environments, they usually die. So, bare soil is terrible. So adding mulch seems to be adding organic matter. But the thing is, different fungi like different size food or different types of food. So I call mulch macas because it's all chopped up, it's all the same sort of woody debris or grassy debris, and it's all a similar size. So there's a few dozen fungi that do really well on macas, but the diversity, the rich, different fungi that come from that area, some of them like growing in dead trees. Some of them like growing on, branches of dead trees. Some of them like growing on logs. Some of them just want to live on leaf litter. Some of them just like twigs. And so if you chop everything up and make it all similar, like macas, you've actually, you're just feeding a few dozen fungi instead of a rich, diverse group. So, and some fungi will want acacia wood, others will want eucalypt wood. Some of them like, dead grass. So if we need all of those things in all of their variety is actually a rich food for fungi, and fungi are food for invertebrates. So, and invertebrates, like insects, are food for birds. So if you love your birds, you've actually got to feed your fungi because they're actually the bottom of the food chain.
That's a fantastic analogy. The mulch is the macas for fungi. Why does fungi help plants? Do we know yet?
They evolved together. So probably what happened is, life, all life began aquatically in water and probably slightly salty water. So then life evolved into freshwater, which was actually tricky because freshwater is harder if you evolved into saltwater. And then probably what happened is the adaptations that you need to live in freshwater are actually the same sort of adaptations that you need to live on land because you need to be able to control your water movement and your salts and things. So probably what happened was there were these green algal mats on, freshwater muddy areas, and they were the first plants, the early cyanobacteria and green things that started, photosynthesizing and creating our oxygen environment. And at the same time, some of those would die off, and fungi are their first job was recycling. So those early fungi went, oh, look, here's some dead plant matter. I can eat that. And so they were already in the same place in the same time. So they actually started that symbiosis really, really early. So plants, although they developed roots principally for getting water and somewhere to have this relationship with fungi, they didn't actually need to develop very complicated root systems because they had this symbiosis from the beginning. So, basically it would have been fungi and plants living together in the same space and, doing stuff that helped each other in a kind of side-by-side symbiosis, and eventually they actually connected up and the fungi actually inhabit the roots of the plant.
You have talked about how seed storage lacks its companion fungi.
Yeah, so some fungi are clever and have gotten into seeds. So there is another group of symbiotic fungi which are called endophytes, simply meaning inside plants. And in the grasses, these endophytes, which are in all natural grasses, actually hitchhike in the seed. So the fungi and the seed are all together. But unfortunately, for most mycorrhizals, so these fungus root plants, they don't. Their relationship is decoupled, so the seeds don't carry the fungus, and so instead, the fungus has to meet up with a plant at that soil level and connect. And we are doing a great job of seed banking. But if you do not have access to the fungal partners and they've been lost, physical damage does soil, fungi can die out quite easily with lots of pollution, physical damage, all the things we've sadly done with land clearing kills those fungi. And if you don't have local native plants, you can't support local native fungi. So if they're gone, you put these plants back, but they don't have their fungal partners there, or if they do, there's only one or two really tough surviving ones left, and that rich diversity that makes a healthy ecosystem isn't there. So I foolishly assumed when I first finished my degree in the sort of the turn of the millennium, there was a lot of seed banking going on, the Millennium Seed Bank project.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, they're scientists. They'll start conserving the fungal partners as well, because why would you not conserve the partners that these plants have evolved with? Unfortunately, humans are foolish, and seed banking became just that, just seed banking. And only the orchid mycorrhizae people, they can't even get their orchids to germinate without the right fungus. So they are the only ones who have habitually conserving the fungus with conserving the orchid. And we need all plant groups, need to do it. Because, without it, we're doing, not very clever conservation.
I mean, it sounds so obvious when you say it, but it's like a huge step that was missed.
Yeah, and again, it's one of the dangers of specialisation. Like I'm a fungal ecologist, but I still think of myself as a generalist. So I love knowing a little bit about, insects and spiders and ants and all of the rest, because I'm into the connections. But when you do, few surviving mycologists are taxonomists and they're worrying about names, and they don't talk to the people who collect seeds and don't realise that, horticulturalists don't realise, I need fungi to actually grow my plants in if you drip feed plants, so like in gardens and in farms where you give them all the nutrient at the right time in the right, all of the time, most plants can survive without fungi, but they don't do very well. And in natural systems, they don't do well at all. So, we've kind of, trying to make, again, everything's the same. We're all turning it into Maccas with great simplifiers.
You're talking about how fungi can fix nitrogen into the soil. The same with like companion planting. Does this only happen because the plants have fungi attached?
Yeah, a lot of companion planting is trying to sort of partner up plants and fungi that, have complementary needs and can support each other. So fungi are quite good at getting different nutrients from the soil, and different fungi are good at getting different things. And one of the problems we have with our industrialised system is those, industrial chemicals like the P&K fertilisers that we put on them. They're actually so strong that they tend to kill off, threads in soil, which is what the fungi body is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have a skin to protect it. So, fungi are actually quite sensitive to some of these additives that we just throw around unthinkingly. So they get lost. Then they're not there to basically share the sugars. Certainly there are kind of fungal guilds, or those companion plantings. You plant these things together, they do better because, their needs sort of co-support each other.
It's such an interesting avenue, but there really isn't a book for it yet, right?
Yeah, so I've spent sort of 10 years wandering around talking to land care groups and gardening groups and sort of talking about fungi land management and ecology, and they were like, this is great, what can we read? And I kept sort of waiting for this book to appear that, I could tell them about, and it didn't happen. And after about a decade, a friend and I were, another mycologist, were like going, we really need this because, we're starting to get people from overseas who are starting to come up with some great ideas for their landscapes. And they're coming here, and it's like, well, we don't want to have the cane toad of the fungal world turn up because some, very well-meaning person thinks, we can fix the system by bringing something from overseas. We've got local indigenous fungi. We were like, oh no, we really need to get this into restoration. And so, 4 years ago, we fundraised to get started on the book, and it's taken longer than we hoped. But we are progressing. We are finishing the third chapter that's getting to the edited stage. We've still got 9 chapters to go, but once you start finishing something, we're just keeping up the momentum, and we'll finish it. And then, Fungi4Land will be out there, and you can read about some of the amazing things fungi do for you on your landscape without you even knowing it. Yeah,
I can't wait. How can we help?
We do have a website, Fungi4Land, the number 4, and we do, we gratefully accept donations. And yeah, we are starting to put some educational materials as they develop onto our website. So yeah, just share the story. If you like us, help us out financially if you can, and if not, just keep reading on the website what we do, and hopefully you'll pick up just a few ideas and start doing them and do some better gardening.
This has been great. Thank you, Dr. Sapphire McMullan-Fisher, for chatting with us.
No worries. It's been great to talk to you.
Before I let you go, do you have a favourite fungi song that we can play for you?
Mama Kin did actually do a song that talks about mycelium. So I'm not sure what the song is actually called, but Mama Kin, if you probably Google Mama Kin and mycelium, she will come up, and she's a great Australian artist.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
No worries.
Thank you very much. Back to you in the studio, which is me.
Is your little Zeta hard to label? The Buttery Music School might be for them. Subscribe or renew during April Atonement and win a whole term of music lessons. One lucky under 18 will choose from 10 weeks of group lessons, their Little Rockers program, or their Epic Band program. Join a real band, write songs, jam and perform. Buttery Jam Fest is on April 11 at the Cave-In, or you can find out more at thebutterymusicschool.com or subscribe and enter at 4ZZZ.org.au.
Yeah, you can go to 4ZZZ.org.au and become a subscriber. We just heard then from Mama Kin Spender with Underground. That's a beautiful song about mycelial relationships, touching root systems. And I think there's an analogy in there with love and things. But that was a request by Dr. Sapphire McMullan-Fisher after our interview from all the way in 2022, 4 years ago. And I can definitely, I was listening to that and I was like, out, I sound so different from when I was interviewing people back then to now. Definitely a lot more comfortable, and I thank 4ZZZ for being a training ground for people in our community to tell stories and get their voice out there, be able to amplify people who don't usually get amplified. But that was a great interview with Dr. Sapphire McMullan-Fisher, who is still in the works for trying to publish their book, Fungi4Land. That's 4 with the number 4. It's all coming together. And that's all I've got for today's show. And as we want to do here on Eco Radio, we like to give everyone a bit of a collation of events and volunteering activities that you can get involved in next week or this coming week. And it's called the Bushcare Roundup. It goes a little something like this.
It's a Bushcare Roundup. They've been pulling out weeds and then they put in trees. It's the Bushcare Roundup.
There's no need to rush through this one this week. I've left plenty of time so that I can talk to you about it. Happening on Saturday the 11th at 8 a.m, you can go to the Growing Forward Working Bee. That's at the Dutton Park Commons. Growing Forward are a mutual aid community garden run in different parts of Brisbane, all without any funding or help by the council. Even the council mainly hinders them. At 8:30 a.m. on the Saturday 11th, you can go to the Highgate Hill Community Orchard Working Bee. That's at 94 Hampstead Road in Highgate Hill, and that's a community orchard where you can get all your citruses. I know limes and lemons are in in fruit at the moment, so that's always good to get along to. At 3 o'clock, you can go to the Stop Olympic land grab, Save Barrabin. That's happening at 36 Gilchrist Avenue in Hurston. And that is because, we're fed up with land being given away to corporations, which is a public space and should be used for the public, not for the Olympics or even after the Olympics to the AFL to give them a new stadium to make millions off of public land. There are so many things that are wrong with that plan to have 2 Olympic stadiums in Victoria Park that I can't get into it at the moment, but it's always good to go along to these events and connect with like-minded people who are against an Olympic land grab. That's all for Saturday. On Sunday, the 12th, at 7:30am, you can go to the Brandon Road Bushcare Group Working Bee. That's Winston Street in Runcorn. At 8 o'clock, you can go to the Friends of Nerang National Park Working Bee. That's 75 Warnhill Drive, Nerang. At 8:30, you can go to the Barrenbar Wetland Reserve Working Bee. That's Wayne Goss Drive, in Browns Plains. At 8:30, you can go to the Colo Creek Catchment Group Working Bee. That's Platypus Park, Banksia Drive, Mount Crosby. And at Monday the 13th at 6:30, you can go to the Briz Science, the House of 1,000 Species. That's happening at the Edge at the State Library, and that's going to be a talk about how there's so many species, plants, animals, insects in your backyard that you can take the time to notice all of those things. There was a study done with researchers here in Brisbane looking at their share house space and found over 1,000 species in Annerley. That's a really interesting talk, and I'm going to send you over to the feedback loop, but thank you so much for listening in today. It is April Atonement. Go to 4zzz.org.au/support. Become one of the 2% of people who subscribe to this station. 2% of listeners, who subscribe to this station. And, I'm going to send you across to the feedback loop with Imogen and Sophie. Thank you so much for listening in today. You're listening to 4ZZZ Eco Radio.
4ZZZ Eco Radio. Radical Radio Collective. 4ZZZ.